All right, boys, we are about halfway through the CPL's regular season. Technically not quite, because no team has hit the 14 game mark, but because we've got this little bit of a lull in games, we had only one over the weekend. It's the summer. We feel like we've got enough of a sample size from most teams and players. We're going to talk awards. So if you've been following the CPL on social media on Monday, you might have seen us asking for a few, of your thoughts of any of the listeners and the fans' thoughts on who might be in line for these awards. We actually got a couple of players submitting their own picks, which might offer some insight into where their player of the year votes might be going. However, we're going to start with us. We're gonna get to those at the end. We're gonna hear from the people that you all want to hear. That is Mitchell Tierney and Alexander Gange-Ruzik. Probably not me, but I'll give my picks as well anyway. We're going to, I think, start with the Coach of the Year award, boys. Bobby Smirniotis won this last year for the first time ever, which was kind of a finally moment. And let's see. I think I'm going to put Mitch back on the spot first with this one. Your Coach of the Year for 2025 from the first half of the season is
Diego Mejia, top of the table. Just not only the results, but the way they're playing, the way he was able to, a key player in Amr Didic going down, and they just go from strength to strength. Like, everything about this guy, the way his team's been playing and the way they've been getting results is top class. So that's my shout.
See, this is why I did this one first, because I think it's going to be the most boring one. But AGR, do you have the same answer?
If I were to have it written down beforehand, yes, Diego Mejia. He fits the criteria of kind of just all the boxes. They play fun football. They're top of the league. Everyone's having career years. Diego Mejia for sure. But I will say Bobby Smirniotis, the fact, again, it shows where the standard is at, where they're undefeated. They're within touching distance of first place. He's had so many key injuries. And again, they've just been so deep that it is actually probably a lot closer than we realize between those two.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that those are probably my two front runners as well. As you mentioned, Mitch, Atletico Ottawa, they score an insane number of goals. They've got 30 in 13 games, which is just ridiculous. And I think, as you said, the coolest things about that team are every single player seems to be having, maybe the best year of their CPL career so far, at least ones that have been around for a little bit. All of the young players in the backline that he's just trusting, which is kind of exactly what we want a Canadian Premier League coach to do, is give those young players those opportunities and trust them. And he certainly is being rewarded for it. But guys, Bobby Smirniotis has not lost a game this year. And if he only loses a couple all year, if they finish first, then it's going to be very, very difficult to argue with that. But who knows? Patrice Geyser has done some pretty impressive things in Halifax too. He's got them, especially just considering the growth from last year in that team. They might be, for me, arguably the most improved team in the CPL this year, just in terms of how much more, certainly entertaining, but much more disciplined and as AGR said earlier this year, they've got more of that dog in them this year, and that's a lot down to Patrice Geyser. Anyway,
also, Defender of the Year pick for you. Just throw it out there. The way York United's been playing, young Canadian coach Mauro Eustachio could be in this mix by the end of the year if they push closer.
If they close that gap a little bit, maybe finish in the top four, I certainly would not be against it.
U31 Canadian coach.
U31 coach of the year. There we go. That's it.
That's it. It's still younger than some of the oldest players in the league. Very impressive what's going on there.
Absolutely. All right, Defender of the Year. It was Dan Klomp last year and the year before that. He cannot win it this year unless something truly insane happens over the next maybe week. So I think we'll swap the order around this time. And AGR, you're up first.
I'm going to go Dan Nimick. I think the way he's slotted into that Forge team, they have, the best defensive record essentially in the league. As we've learned with Dan Klomp in a good way, Defender of the Year isn't just defending. And I say that because the modern defender has to do it all. And Dan Nimick has done it all. Goal, 3 assists, just that's so crucial to what they do on the ball to keep the ball away from their net. And then when he's been asked to defend, he's been very good. For me, ticks all the boxes and has been probably the clear front runner. But there's still some other good guys in the mix.
And Nemec's got a goal and 3 assists. He's played every minute for a Forge team that's conceded 10 goals in 13 games. Tough to argue with that, but Mitchell, would you please do so?
Yeah, absolutely. AGR is rarely wrong, but he is on this occasion. It's got to be TMG.
Yes.
The way that he's changed that Halifax back line, like, again, this was the team that conceded the joint most goals last season, and he's completely changed the mentality around defending, the way they defend. And 92 clearances, that's 25 more than any other player. He's won 69.1% of his duels. Like, this is a guy who's gotten stuck in since game one, and he's managed to contribute some offense as well, some timely goals. So I really love what TMG has been doing, and I do think it is very close between those two players. But if I'm voting right now, I'm going TMG.
Can I get a little love for maybe a Noah Abatne? This Ottawa team, we talk so much about their defensive line. I think for me, Abatne is, I think he's probably the one that stands out the most to me. Certainly Cloutier as well, and Kozlowski. Duhaney Walker is not actually eligible because he's too old at the age of, I think, 21 and a little too much.
We're talking about defender of the year, Charlie.
Oh yeah, sorry, we are. Anyway, that's a spoiler. For coming back. But I'm still going with Abatne, just considering what he's doing at this age. Being so pivotal, playing that central role in the back three is so important to this Ottawa team. He had a couple of injuries at the start of the year, but really started to fit into this team really well. And I think he's been the one for me who's kind of picked up the leadership aspect of that back three since Amir Didic went down. And that's been really, really important to that Ottawa team. So that's where I'm going to go, even though I do think that Nimick and Meyer are maybe the runaway favorites, if there are two, for this award so far. Goalkeeper of the year. Again, last year it was Emil Gazdov. And again, not going to win it this year. So, Mitch, we'll go back to you for this one.
I'll go with All-State Nate Ingham. I think for multiple reasons. Second in the CPL in saves, second in save percentage among starters, 4 clean sheets in the past 4 games. But also just, we talked about it last week on the show, like the way he's organized that back line, the way he's been a leader back there for this team. Like, I think that really matters as well. And, again, when he's been called upon, he's been fantastic. So I think that Nate Ingham would be the choice for me.
AGR.
Yeah, I like that we're pitting ourselves against each other, Mitch. This is perfect. Because I'm going Rayan Yesley. I think he's been really he obviously was goalkeeper of the month in the first month in the season. And yeah, maybe we haven't talked about him as much lately, but he's just as key of that Halifax defensive success as Amer Jaguar. Amer Jaguar is the loud leader in a good way, the emotional heartbeat. But you need a guy who's steady, who's reliable, and Halifax has kind of struggled with that over the last few years. They've, there are games where they'd allow goals that, they're playing well, and just, and I think Yesley has come in and just given them a solid, steady presence, and he's also himself grown a lot and maybe cleaned up some of the loud mistakes he himself might have made at a Valor or Ottawa. I think it's great for him that he was able to find himself in this situation. It's been great for Halifax, and in terms of their advanced numbers, at least by some models, they're very close to each other. I think those two are the runaway in terms of prevented goals. So it's between Ingham and Yesley. There's not a bad choice, but I love the growth we've seen from Yesley.
So I'm actually not going to disagree just to disagree this time. I'm going to actually disagree because Jasim Kalelat has 6 clean sheets this season. I mean, obviously we're hoping that he comes back pretty quick from that injury. He has 6 clean sheets in, I think, 12 games played. He has the best save percentage in the league at 74.3. And he has 5.33 more goals saved than expected goals allowed, which is way, way, way out in front of the best in the league. He probably should have been nominated last year. Maybe didn't quite play enough for Forge. For my money, Jasim Kalelat is maybe the most talented goalkeeper in the Canadian Premier League. And even though he plays for a Forge team, which gives up very, very little, if you do manage to break them down at any point, it is very, very difficult to beat him. So that's going to be my pick this year, or at least at the moment for this first half of the season. I know certainly Ingham and Yesley have very good shouts, and I think probably that's going to end up being the 3 come the end of the year. But if I were voting today, that's where my vote would be. All right, we've got 2 more of these left to come, and the under 21 player of the year I think might be the hardest for everybody. I'm probably just going to let you guys talk while I actually try to land on one guy, because I don't really know where I would go with this. I don't even know what 3 I would nominate at this point. But AGR, we'll let you kick off this one. Under 21 player of the year. This is a tough one.
Yeah, I could talk myself into a lot of guys. I'll set it simple, let you guys scramble around. I'm just gonna go Noah Batney for what he's done at Ottawa, leading the back three. He was already a very good candidate to win last year, and I think he had a legitimate shot. Had he been healthy the whole season, so he obviously missed that chunk of games at the end. So it's just for me been a continuation. Ottawa's been so outstanding as well. He's playing a key role as a leader. I think it has to be a Batney, but man, so many tough choices around him as well.
Really hard, really hard. Mitch, how about you?
Yeah, well, first off, it's great that this is our most kind of debatable award, because that's really the mission of the league, right? Is to have these under 21 Canadians performing like they are this season. So again, there's a lot of them that could be chosen, but I'm going to go with Thiago Coimbra at Halifax.
Oh man,
career year, 6
great
goals, 1.08 goals per 90 right now. So like, obviously he's missed some time this year. If he can stay healthy, like, goals are always going to kind of help you in these awards. We've seen that over the years. Obviously, Kwesi Poku last year winning the U21 award, even though he was only there for a tiny bit before leaving. Like, but I just love the way this guy plays. Physical, dominant in the air. I think he's taken a huge step forward this year, and if he can stay healthy and consistent like he has been, this is the guy for me.
Mitch, I'm so mad at you right now.
You thought you were?
I thought I was going off the board with picking Coimbra because that was going to be my guy. I'm so upset at this. So I need to rally for a couple seconds here, try and figure out. I mean, just thinking of all of the insane, like the insane length of this list. Like we've got Adam Perlman on that same team, right? We've got Emmerich Fotzing in Vancouver, who, again, we should say thankfully is okay after that scary incident over the weekend. Jose Masunda at Forge, all of the guys, literally almost all of Atletico Ottawa in their defense and their fullbacks. We've got Greco Taylor at Pacific, Kelsey Egwu,
Tierno Ba at Vancouver as well.
Absolutely.
Gareth
That's a spoiler, but might have been where I was going towards. Gareth Menkov is maybe one for me because, again, this is a player who fits so well, and sometimes you forget as an under 21 player with Cavalry fits so well into their identity. He's a player with that fullback mentality and attacking talent who plays in their front three sometimes and presses so well because he's part defender at heart. And then he goes back at fullback and he's so good there as well. Like, I think there's just so many good shouts. Even Loic Cloutier might be another one, but I think Ottawa has too many guys for one of them to actually win this award because it's going to be hard to pick one, right? I think come the end of the year, when it's time for voting, it will be difficult to pick one Ottawa guy. So I think that that more of the vote, if we look at how those kinds of patterns sometimes play out, might lean away from them or might split some of the Ottawa votes. So I think Gareth Menkov is where I'm going to end up with this one. However, I am going to bring in a couple of our public opinion on this one because a lot of people were pretty interested in replying to this one. First of all, shout out Matteo De Brienne, doing so well over there in Sweden. Former Atletico Ottawa player, gives us his vote for under 21 player of the year. He says Gabby Antonoro, his former teammate at Atletico Ottawa, which I think is a really great and underrated shout. Another player that you forget sometimes is under 21 because he's been around at Atletico Ottawa for a little while and now is kind of carved out his spot in the starting 11. We've got Wickwire on Instagram who voted for Thiago Coimbra. We got some votes for Jose Masunda, but I think it's going to be a very, very tough one. So maybe again, if you've got any shout of your own, make sure you put it in the comments down there. Boys, finally, we got to do this quickly because we've gone a really long time here on these awards. However, player of the year, it was Tristan Borges last year. Mitchell, who have you got so far in 2025?
He's been a little slower lately, but I'm still going to go David Rodriguez. I think he's been a game changer for Atletico Ottawa. Leads the league in assists, 10 goal contributions. He's just a special player, and I think with the way Ottawa are continuing to play, he's going to keep being a vital player in that system. Their key offensive player. So I'm going to go D-Rod.
AGR.
Yeah, again, slower is like only 2 to 3 shots per game and 2 to 3 key passes
Exactly.
instead of 4 and 4. So again, David Rodriguez, just because even his quiet nights, he's an absolute menace and he opens up space for everyone around him. I think he's been the clear front runner, and at this stage, halfway, it's his really to lose. And I think he definitely is going to have some juice left in store for that second half of the season, especially anytime it feels like you just start to think he's quiet, he'll pop up with the monster performance. And when you look and see Forge on the calendar next, I think that you can only wonder what he'll have in store for this next match day.
Yeah, that's a very exciting one. Rodriguez is still the runaway favorite at the moment, but a lot can happen in the second half of the year. I would just throw Toby Warshevsky's name back out there. I think he was the favorite for the award at the start of the year, and I think probably remains in at least my top 3 because he's been very good. He's got 5 goals, 3 assists, and I could certainly see him going on a bit of a rampage in the second half, as he did last season. We must remember he was very unstoppable towards the end of the year. So that's one I'd look out for. We got shouts in the comments for Julian Altobelli, which is certainly fair. Sergio Camargo, David Rodriguez. I think there's so many good options that it is, again, another one that's really, really hard to pick at this point of the year. Anyway, those are our awards for the midway point of the 2025 Canadian Premier League season. Again, let us know if you think we're all wrong, because we might be, but we will check back in a couple of months and we will be sure to laugh at whether we picked right, whether everything changed and somebody came out of nowhere and ran away with some of these awards or not. We shall see.